I think we really need to start making life more intimate. Start cherishing, even the small moments of life, but really just cherishing life in general. You know, focusing on being in the present so much that, everything is almost a new experience, regardless of whether or not you've done it before. Make it feel like it's something new. You're a new person, you're walking in a new day, it's a new experience. I think we have to sort of not necessarily separate ourselves from our memory and our past, but reconnect with who we are in the present and who we're becoming. With each scenario, with each thing that we encounter, I feel like we're painted. We're painted with the color of the scenario, the feelings we have about it, and everything surrounding it. Which is why I think it's really important to realize when you're being affected by those things, and realize that being in the present moment, being there for yourself, being there in these situations, and one, controlling your reactions, one, controlling your person, and controlling how you perceive things, it opens the door to so much more. I feel like when you're intentionally trying to make more life more intimate, intentionally trying to not necessarily derive meaning from your life or derive meaning from your circumstance or what you're doing, but experience it to the point where it has meaning. And I feel like a lot of people live their lives like void of meaning. Not necessarily saying that if you're in the present, you'll find it, but to say that, I feel like life is about constantly generating new meanings to keep going, new reasons to pursue, new passions, new purposes. I feel like we as humans can't just have, not necessarily can't, it really depends person to person. But in my experience, I can't really just hold on to one specific purpose, one specific thing that I want to achieve, and then I'll be content with it. I feel like part of being human is that constant repetition of finding a worthy goal or worthy ideal. And I feel like true success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. It's about realizing what you want and taking the steps to go get it. And I feel like that is what fulfillment is in some ways. So to do that in any sense would be at first to be present enough to realize what it is that you want. I feel like that's most of the battle. That's most of the fight. That's most of your life is figuring out what you want. And the rest of it is going out there to get it. But one thing about going out there to get it is you have to, know in your heart, feel in your heart, and realize that it's possible for you to get. It's not some fleeting thing. It's not just something you sit on, you dwell on it, and just falls in your lap. It's something you go out there and get. Some people get lucky, they're circumstanced, but I feel like part of that getting lucky is them being in line with their feeling of it. I feel like some people are just gifted in that sense, like they're able to feel how they want to feel about certain things, and that just makes it easier for opportunities to be sort of what's the word for it? Sort of used to their full capability. Sort of yeah, we'll just say that. Being able to be used to their full capability. I feel like a lot of us don't act on certain opportunities we have either out of dissociating it in a dichotomy between our worth and then whatever we're trying to pursue. I feel like we sometimes we feel like we're not worth what we're getting. We're not worth, actually pursuing that, or we're not confident enough to pursue it. Like we feel like what we've done so far isn't akin to what we wish to do, or feel like we're not in a current headspace or current scenario to actually obtain that thing. And I feel like you have to be ready to get it, even if you're not ready in a sense. The main thing with getting ready is putting yourself in a place of already having it. You have to treat yourself like you already have it in order to be in the right headspace to obtain it. Because that's why I feel like some people's mental issues start to become prevalent once they achieve certain things, and they run into a feeling of maybe unfulfillment. Because if you're not ready to fully receive, you either go one of two ways. You either, are really up from it, or you come down because you realize, either not all of you was within it, or you feel like you're nothing without it. It's about realizing that regardless of what you do, regardless of what you vest yourself into, you still are somebody, you still are a person, and you still have value regardless of that something. Now that's not to say don't pursue anything. You're fine not pursuing anything. It's to say realize that you're not necessarily all your expressions. You're not necessarily everything having to do with the external world. You are you. You are you. You're just that silence, that amalgamation, that observation of the world. Not necessarily something that should be readily connotated depending on what you choose to do with it. And that's, and you can take that with a grain of salt, because we do live in a social environment, and a lot of people are sort of judged and worth based on what they can provide and what value they bring to certain things. But I feel like inherently life has value. What we are and who we are and what we depict has value. And in expressing that value and realizing that there is value, you have to capitalize on it. You take up space, you might as well use it. You have to make life as intimate as you possibly can in a way. Like, realize what you like, realize what you want to do, and do it just because you like doing it. Just because that's something that makes you happy. Like, I feel like there's a lot of little tiny aspects of life, little things that we see on a day to day that can bring out a lot of joy, can bring out a lot of solace in our own life just off of being, just off of how they reflect who we are internally and aspects of ourselves. And that's also something I feel like is kind of teeter-tottered or sort of mixed up, is because I feel like when people fail to worth themselves, fail to love themselves, they see the worst parts of themselves in everything they do. That's why I feel like it's very important to be present and realize how you feel about yourself. The most important perspective that we have is the perspective that we have on ourselves. You have to be really intentional with your self-love and self-care. And I made a video titled like self-love isn't just a statement, because it's not. It's about the way you live. And I guess that's pretty much akin to making life more intimate, because that's what it's about. Being there for yourself, realizing what you want, realizing what you like, and going out to get it because you deserve it as a person. And you should be able to provide that for yourself, or find something that can provide it for you. I feel like that's the epitome of what self-love is. Loving yourself regardless of your ups, downs, and falls, and realizing, it's not so much important whether or not you quote unquote deserve it. Deserve things, worth things. I feel like all of that is a construct of our perception and the reality at which we choose to adopt. It's not about all that. It's about whether or not you want it. And it's okay to want stuff. It's okay to have desires. I feel like a lot of us suppress our desires and what we want just out of either spite for ourselves or spite for our situation. Like, maybe you want to put in a little bit more work, but that's not to say you shouldn't feel good about what you're doing. I feel like we're too achievement oriented, too material, in the sense that a lot of us don't feel good about what we're doing until we reap our rewards. Then we feel good. But it's about feeling good all through and through. Feeling good no matter what is happening, no matter what way it chooses to express itself. And one thing I've been realizing so far, because I started to get a little, not necessarily bummed out, but just have a real mundane view of what I've been doing. And what I realized is I kind of got content, kind of got comfortable with the place I was at in terms of my own journey. And I thought I was like in one of those periods of, I could just ride this out, then I'll gain more, then I'll learn more and try to move forward from that. And it's not necessarily saying that I feel like I have to constantly learn, but a sense that like this isn't my end. Like, this isn't where I stop. I'm comfortable with my mentality now. I'm comfortable with the way I am as a person. But I realize that this is not where I want to stop, and not where it's not where it's going to stop. I have to keep going, keep transcending, and keep finding out new things. I feel like that's kind of what philosophers get into in terms of the rabbit hole. And I'm realizing it might get deeper than I once thought, but it's kind of a fun place to be at, being so enamored with life in general and realizing that the way we are is expressed in a lot more than just ourselves, but how we see everything. Realizing the pieces and parts of you that are seeking out change, that need renovation, not destruction, not vacancy, but renovation, and choosing those intentionally and working on it. Not constantly pushing ourselves to be better, but constantly looking for ways to be better, opportunities. Not saying that you have to capitalize on those opportunities, but having an eye open to realize points at which we can make change in our own life. And not all change is good change. You know, it's not about embracing change, it's about embracing growth. That's where I feel like it gets real important, and the dichotomy kind of shifts from just being, just existing in the state and actually appreciating the state at which you exist. All that to say that, you have to make life intimate. You got to be there for yourself. You got to be there for your ups and downs, no matter what happens. You know, I feel like another part of it is stop being so focused on sort of material possession. Not necessarily just things we have, but how we value things that don't necessarily pertain to who we are. Our worth and self should be coming from ourselves. Your worth and self should be coming from you, not from what you do, not from your environment, not from your circumstance, not from how much money you have, but how you feel about you as a person. And if you feel like that's not a good thing, first analyze whether or not that's from your environment, whether or not you're worthing yourself negatively just because of your environment or your circumstance. And then realize whether or not you can make that change to make yourself feel better. Like, as much as I love myself now, which I do, I know parts of myself that I realize I can push forward, I can move on from, and learn more about, to the point where it gets better. And that comes with being present with myself, like trying to be self-aware and trying to make sure I'm taking care of myself, treating myself like someone I'm trying to help. As much as we choose to observe the world, I feel like we need to observe ourselves as well. See how we interact and learn from that, not necessarily act like we know all the answers to ourselves. Because I feel like we never truly know ourselves. He who thinks the journey is over is the one that's truly lost. So if you made it this far in the video, please be intentional with what you do. Thank you so much for watching. Even if you didn't make it this far, thank you so much. I really enjoy talking about this subject. I don't know if y'all could tell, but it just feels like I'm getting better and better. But thanks again. I really hope it helps you guys out. Keep shooting me DMs. I'm gonna try to go live. Let's put a date on it, because I don't want to play off. I'm gonna try to go live on Sunday, maybe for like 2 hours, around 7 to 10 ish, like around that time. So stay tuned for that. I'll definitely send out a notification. Keep hitting me up. Keep sending me y'all work. I love seeing it. I love seeing your expression. All in all, thank you. Keep being you. And yeah.